Hey, Carolyn, nice to meet you. How are you?
Hi, so nice to meet you. How are you?
Doing great. Are you in New York?
I am in LA right now.
Oh,
What about you? Where are you?
I'm
I
in
know you travel.
I'm in Laguna Beach. Yeah.
Nice, nice. I was in Dana Point recently. I love it there. I love that area.
Awesome. Oh, what restaurants do you frequent down here?
Javier's,
Mm-hmm.
south of Nick's. Have you
Gotcha.
been?
Yeah.
Uh, and we stayed. Do you ever go to Monarch Beach?
Yeah. The Monarch and Monarch Beach.
Yes, yes. So I stayed there. We did a little family reunion. We were social distancing in June. So I was staying there and they have I'm forgetting the name of the restaurant there. They have a more casual one that has ocean views and I just love that entire area walking around. I think a lot of people across the country and across the world don't know about it.
Right.
So, I included that region in my book because I want people to
Oh,
know.
good. Well, this is where I live. I live in Laguna Beach.
Nice, lucky man.
Yes. So let's talk about your book. We're here to talk about Four Seasons at Angelinos.
Yes,
And
I have it right here.
I love the cover. It's so inviting. It's really cool.
Thank you. You'll see she's sitting, that's Charlotte, sitting on a suitcase, frustrated.
Ah,
And there's places, if you see really close, all over the world in the background. It's kind of hard to see, but you have Russia, Japan, London, and of course the Statue of Liberty. Every chapter is named after a different city. And so I think that's good now that so many of us are stuck during coronavirus, is that you can travel around the world in a book.
there you go, right? Let me ask you the first question about writing a book is
Sure.
I hear all kinds of people that they're writing a book and it never comes out. So what did you do to make sure your book actually came out?
Oh, you mean it doesn't get published
Published
after they work
or
so
or
hard?
it takes them 10 years, 8 years. I've heard it. Where's your book? Then I quit asking old friends of mine or acquaintances, like the book never materializes, but yours did. So what's your secret to making this thing, getting it out there?
Well, I have to say, it is a very competitive industry. It's very hard to find a publisher. They always want a literary agent. And luckily, I think my professional background helped because I've been the director of public relations for Serafina Restaurant Group for over 10 years. And it's, if you spend any time in New York, it's actually a worldwide chain, but primarily based in New York City. And so many celebrities and socialites and politicians frequent the restaurant that my publisher was familiar with it. So I was able, through a personal connection, to meet with him. Post Hill Press is my publisher, and he does a lot of reality stars, political pundits, and he's used to pop culture and getting things done quickly. And so often even when people do find a publisher, it takes 2 years for the book to actually come out. But he moves quickly because if he's doing politics, you want to talk about the election, this can't come out in 2022 because the election's a few months away. So, I was really fortunate. It was through a personal connection that eventually this book came to fruition.
Very cool, very cool. So where were you and what was it like? Were you at, I know this happened at a restaurant. I'm going to write a book about it. I'm going to write a book about my life and my experiences. Is that how it happened?
Yeah, well, I'm Irish and I always had that writing desire running through my veins. And I always wrote during my professional career, but then there were just so many fun stories that were coming up and so many things I witnessed. I personally have traveled around the world in restaurants all over the place. And, recently I lost the love of my life in 2018, but he had inspired me. It's like, you really need to share some of these crazy stories you're telling me. So of course I did fictionalize the book to protect the innocent. And so I added lots of twists and turns, but you'll see real life, you see restaurants. Oh, you're going to laugh. I included Spaghetti Factory. I'm thinking of places around your region.
I love the Spaghetti Factory.
Love it. It's such a good family place. And then of
And it's
course,
cheap.
yeah, I love, people who don't know it don't understand it. My sister has 4 kids, so when we're all together and we're a huge group, Spaghetti Factory is the go-to. But, I also included, iconic places like Beverly Hills Hotel. There's a wedding scene that happens there. I include hotels that actually exist. So these are my experiences. I only write about places that I've been to. But of course, it's a romantic comedy, so I throw in all kinds of crazy fictionalized romances to make things spicy and intriguing.
How did you become a restaurant publicist?
I fell into it. My master's degree is in international relations, and my thesis was about terrorism. So, and I was a political fundraiser for a while. Then I was fundraising for foster children. So I went through this whole career path that led to different twists and turns I wasn't expecting. But I was living in New York, and I was friends with a very charismatic restaurateur who happens to be one of the co-founders of Serafina. And he had been asking me for a long time to be their publicist. And I thought, oh, no, it's not for me. But then after launching a culinary startup, I was getting more embedded in the food industry and the restaurant industry. And things sort of fell into place when I needed a job. I called him back. I'm like, remember you're saying you wanted to hire me? And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, never mind. I hung up. And then later he called me, like 2 days later, he's like, yeah, let's meet. And I've been with Serafina for 10 years, and it's such a blessing. It's so, I just into it.
Through my world of interviewing and photography, I've learned and that there's about a good 30 restaurant groups that so-and-so owns this restaurant and they own that restaurant. And you're like, oh, wow. And it's such a different restaurant. So how do these companies start to become a restaurant, like a corporation of different restaurants? How does that happen?
Like a mega chain and an iconic brand of New York. In the case of Serafina, it was founded about 22 years ago. Location was key. 61st and Madison became the flagship. And with that, you have Yankees like Alex Rodriguez going there all the time. Everybody's shopping at Barney's, which sadly has now closed recently, but right around the corner, all these socialites, Paris Hilton going there when she was a teenager. And, then what happens is these people grow up. Serafina became part of their family. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West had their first public lunch date at Serafina. It was like a media mob scene. I remember I called her publicist. I said, I can't control what's going on right now. It's there, like, you have paparazzis out on the street, and it was insane. But the point is, before she was famous, Kim Kardashian was going there. And now she's on record saying it's one of her favorite restaurants in New York. So the celebrities definitely help propel a brand. I mean, if you name almost any celebrity, I can tell you they have eaten at Serafina, so many of them. So, and when TMZ is following them there, and then, or people are watching reality TV and they see Serafina, they say, when I go to New York, I want to be there. It's the hot place to be. And it's not just entertainers, it's also Mike Bloomberg, all the mayors, Giuliani, de Blasio, all the New York mayors have eaten there, some more often than others. Bloomberg goes quite frequently. He lives near one of the locations. So I think being a fixture on Page Six also really helped put the brand on the map, because people want to go where celebrities go. And not only that, the formula is amazing because it's casual. The price points, you can be teenagers on a first date and have a pizza date, and maybe Lady Gaga's at the table next to you, which is an extra bonus. But you don't have to be rich and famous to eat in Serafina. It's a formula that's worked out very well. But to your point, restaurants, as you know, these are the places where our special moments in life happen. First dates, birthday parties, anniversary celebrations, wedding rehearsal dinners. You always think, which restaurant should I go to? Catching up with an old friend. So it's nice to be part of people's lives. And through that comes so many stories, which is why, a lot of them landed here in this book. Because there's so many. By the way, the back scene, you have the bartender might be in love with the hostess, or the customer who comes in and wants to sit at a certain table because he's crushing on the waitress, but he's too shy to tell her. And it's really nice how the staff and the restaurant and the food, this all like comes together and becomes a fabric for people's lives.
Totally agree. Totally. You even answered some questions I wanted to ask you. So I was looking at your Instagram, and like you're actually taking your book all over the world.
I am. Coronavirus is making it a little bit difficult, but I was in Aspen a few weeks ago, and there's a chapter on Aspen. So I brought the book with me to the Caribou Club, is a famous members club there. And I actually brought it with me to dinner. And maybe I look crazy because I'm like taking a picture of it next to the wine we're having. But it's fun to photograph it at these places. And then Beverly Hills Hotel, I was there with a friend a few days ago having lunch, so I brought the book along. And I like to incorporate these places. These places make the story all the more intriguing to the readers. And to think that, okay, she's having a first date in Paris at Alain Ducasse's restaurant. It actually exists. People can Google it and see who's Alain Ducasse. Like, not everybody knows. So it's kind of fun. And those who do know say, oh my gosh, yeah, I've seen his cookbooks. He's amazing.
I'm going to play a game with you. I'm going to give you 5 cities, and whatever restaurant pops up in your head, that's your recommendation for that city. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. Let's go. Chicago.
I didn't have my coffee, but okay.
Chicago.
I just wrote a chapter about Chicago too. Okay, next. I'm sorry. We have to skip that one. I am drawing
Black Box. Okay, Los Angeles.
El Pistaio. It's actually in Beverly Hills, but I love that Italian restaurant, El Pistaio. Or Mr. Chow if you want Chinese.
Okay, let's go with South Beach.
Ooh, Nobu. I like the Soho House, the Chicconis in South Beach. And then disclaimer, we do have a Serafina nearby.
Las Vegas.
Vegas. Let me think.
You want to play the game with me? I
think you want to tell me. No, I was going to say Scarpetta, but then I thought, are they still open? Because, they were in the Cosmopolitan. So is Scarpetta still open in Vegas?
I don't know.
And Milos for great food. They're in the Cosmopolitan. Okay, let's play the game with Fernando, because you're picking the cities that you frequent. I haven't been to Chicago in a while.
I'm just kidding, because let's go back to Chicago. Come on, is it hard for you to pick one?
Okay, I was in Chicago 2 years ago, and it was actually at Saks Fifth Avenue. There was a PR event I had to do, but is it Alina that's there in Chicago?
I only know Roses or that Italian restaurant. It's Rosemary's. It's Italian.
Rosemary's. Okay. Yeah, you really got me on Chicago. I'm embarrassed.
Okay. Sorry. Let's go back to your book. So why did you call it Four Seasons, at Angelinos? Why that title?
Okay, because it takes place in 4 seasons, and she gives her something traumatic happens on the first page, and she gives herself a year, Charlotte, the main character, to find the one. So she jumps into these crazy romances all around the world, kind of ignoring the person she's supposed to be with because she's just in panic mode. So the book is divided into 4 parts. And then Angelinos is the name of the fictitious restaurant group. Angelino in Italian means little baby angel.
Or people from Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's true, except I have it possessive, Angelino, and then possessive, so it's Angelinos. But yes, plural for sure. I'm a native Southern Californian. I went to Loyola Marymount University in LA, and I'm in LA right now as we speak. I'm an Angelino.
Okay. Oh, you're an Angelino. Okay, good. So name the TV show that used to have a restaurant called Angelinos.
Okay, Fernando, are you just trying to?
No, you know what? Because it just popped in my head. It was a famous comedy TV show that had John Ritter in it, and his restaurant was called Angelinos. Do you remember that?
Okay, what year are we thinking?
Oh, I'm older than you, so it's just, it was like in the 80s, 70s.
Okay, I'm a little too young to, to tell
Oh,
me what was it.
every other word was called
Oh wait,
MC.
wait, stop! Wait, stop! I know it. Did you say it already? It's Three's Company.
Yes, you got it.
I only because you said John Ritter. I didn't remember the Angelinos part, but okay. I have seen Three's Company. It's a great show.
Right.
I don't know if it would pass. I don't know if it would make the PC test today, though.
No, I know. Not at all.
Just saying.
On the cover, who's the guy?
Oh, it's Wyatt Ashcroft, and he's the elusive, the friend. You know, when with relationships, this book delves into relationships, and there's a friend, and you're like, are we just having a friendship or are we having a romance? And it's like you're hanging out. I think that happens a lot between people. It certainly has with me. And so that's Wyatt Ashcroft, and he's the quirky documentary environmentalist who produces these documentaries, and he's a runaway from Utah. He has an interesting backstory, and Charlotte meets him at a movie premiere in Los Angeles. And I don't want to divulge too much about how that goes.
So I'm in the movie TV business. From what I've read, this could be a movie.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm hoping. Or a series, because there's so many stories that keep going.
It's kind of like a New Girl.
Yes.
Ish.
It's so funny. I read, do you know the original treatment? New Girl takes place in New York. Have you ever seen? I've actually studied the treatment on that. And then that's the thing about Hollywood. They get a hold of your idea or your book or your script or whatever it might be, your screenplay, and they make a lot of changes, but hopefully they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And why are you in the clouds?
Okay, it's not me. This is a fiction.
Okay. Why is she in the clouds?
There's a lot of juicy stuff, and I'm like warning people. I'm like, this isn't my life. My life isn't that exciting. But it's to represent traveling, always being on a plane. And actually, I can relate to that. And for you and other people who are flying around for business or pleasure, you get to the point where you start seeing some of the same people in the airport. In my case, I'm going back and forth between LA and New York. I have to spend at least a week there every month. Things have been changing because of coronavirus. But, I started realizing, gosh, I'm spending more time on this plane than on the ground, it feels like, or more time with strangers in the seat next to me than with my own family and friends. So yeah, she is portrayed up in the clouds, just trying to figure out like what is she doing with her life and dealing with all these calamities that are happening in the restaurant. Opening restaurants, there's a lot of drama behind the scenes, so that's why she's up there just trying to figure it out. And then Wyatt's elevated because he's a very deep thinker and quiet and elusive, and you don't know what's going on in his mind. So let's see if those two can make it work out.
Right. What's your best restaurant story? Your life.
My best restaurant story. Well, okay, one of my favorites.
Or favorite.
Well, do you want to hear one that's celebrity related, or do you want to hear just a general, or both?
It's just your craziest. Like it's just like around. It could be celebrity, whatever. As long as it's like, I don't know. Just I want to hear your craziest. Like I don't know what happened, but your craziest one.
Well, okay, I'll tell you something, and it was involving Alex Rodriguez and Kate Hudson, who was his girlfriend at the time. And they came in and had a lovely lunch, as far as we all could tell, at Serafina. And then they left and everything was fine. And the next day, a tabloid I will not call out, but had this story about this horrible fight, and she left in tears, and it made me realize, I was so that I called them and I said, this didn't happen. I actually happened to be there. I mean, there's so many locations. I'm not always there when celebrities are there. Like I could read about it later, but and it taught me this lesson that you really cannot trust celebrity tabloids, because it was a perfectly fine lunch. Like they even left together, but you read the story and it's like one stormed out, one was crying, one was, you know, and that made me realize how crazy the celebrity world is.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, it made me sad because I'm like, that's not fair to the people involved, and it's not fair to the readers who then read that. And you know, you probably have some people who really believe everything they read, but the moral of the story is don't, because especially with celebrities, a lot of stories are fabricated, and I saw more examples of that throughout my career.
Okay, how about your last one here? Just a crazy something that happened at dinner where non-celebrity or celebrity that was just something just weird that happened. Like I don't know what it is, but
well, something weird that happened is somebody showing up the next day with, look at the wine that your waiter spilled, and it was this scam where they would go around to restaurants and say, like, have a jacket, a blazer, and yeah, and here I had to get it dry clean and it was $60. But the thing is, they go around and do it to like 10, 20 restaurants. And when you're in Manhattan and you're used to an upscale clientele, it's easy for a lot of restaurants to say, oh, I'm so sorry, here's the $60, let us reimburse you. And so it was a total con.
Wow.
Oh, and also another thing that I've seen is like with customers at times, this one kills me, and it happens more frequently than you'd imagine, where they eat the entire meal and then complain that there was something wrong with it and they want to be reimbursed.
That's crazy. How do they
Like,
get...
why did you eat it all?
Right?
And it's like, well, the food's go. I mean, what are you talking about? Or, and then this is the last one I'll leave you with. This happens too, where as the director of public relations, I get calls from customers who are upset and say, this horrible thing happened yesterday when I was at the restaurant. I mean, thank God, you know, Seraphine is great. And I've also worked with other restaurant groups, so it's not that common, but it happens too often, I think, where they complain the next day. And again, why didn't you complain during the meal? Ask the waiter. This is for everybody listening. If you're upset, ask your waiter, please, may I talk to the manager? And have the manager figure it out. Because the next day when the meal's over and the birthday dinner's done, like there's not much that I can do other than give a gift card. But then you know, you talk to the waiter and the manager, they're like, oh no, that's not how it happened at all. So it's too late the next day. Try to resolve it during your meal.
Okay, so we both have traveled all over the world, let's say, and eaten at restaurants, right? The US is very friendly about that kind of stuff. But try pulling that off in France. They'll be like, you're not getting your money back. You're not getting anything back. They'll be like, they'll ignore you. They'll be like, yeah, go away, right? Other countries will not stand for any of that.
It's so true.
If there's a bug in there, they'll be like, yeah, there you go. They're so much tougher. Why is our country so nice about our restaurants, and other countries are like, tough?
It's customer service. Well, two reasons, because in the US, waiters are working for tips, where in Europe, you know, they're salaried, tips don't really matter. So they can tell you, go to hell, go, you know, bye. They don't care, where the waiters here are trying to make the customer happy. Another thing that many people don't realize is in other countries, there's no, can I get that to go? There's no doggy bags. Mm-hmm. So I completely humiliated somebody I was dating one time because, you know, at that point I didn't care. Relationship wasn't going that well, I guess. And I was at a nice Chinese restaurant in France, and we barely touched our food, and we had, I mean, seriously, like 10 dishes. He ordered so excessively. So I asked them to wrap it all up to go. I have no shame, but you know, I can tell it's not the norm. Yeah, so to get those doggy bags.
So yeah, that's my point. So the US is just so different. We could take food home to go. You could ask for all these weird requests, but in other countries are like, they're strict, like, no, you can't take it home. Eat it or we're throwing it away.
That's another issue with America, is that so many times people, they don't just order, okay, great, I'll get the branzino. It's the branzino, but without broccoli, with everybody's custom ordering now. It's very rare just to pick out even like a filet mignon. They'll say, instead of mashed potatoes, can I get fries with that? Or it's all about substitutions. So you just imagine it's really changed. That and the food allergies. Everybody will say they're allergic to things. And I've noticed, okay, let's say they don't like beets. I'm allergic to beets. I'm going to die. They literally will be like, don't put beets on my plate. I'll have an allergy attack. But 9 times out of 10, well, I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10, but often I just wonder, is it that they don't like beets? I personally don't like beets. So I always say, I'm not going to die if beets end up in the salad, but can I please have it without the beets? And I don't fake allergies. I think some people fake allergies just because they don't want to see something they don't like in the meal.
Right. Again, try pulling that off in another country, and you're in Luxembourg. Yeah, no, I want to. No, they'll look at you like you're crazy. We're not changing anything for you. Do you want to eat here or not?
See, Americans, we have it good.
Right?
In many ways, including restaurant dining experiences. However, we do have to add tip, and it really can increase the bill, especially now the norm seems to be 20%. So especially in New York City, and in other countries, they don't have to pay extra because their servers are compensated and don't live on these tips. So, but then the counter argument is, because of the tips, you get better customer service because people want to be tipped well.
That's right. You should do like a blog. You should do like a daily thing, because you look great on camera. You sound good.
Thanks.
I think you could do something online and talk about it, because you're really good. Usually I cut this conversation off 10 minutes ago, but
thanks, Fernando.
Yeah.
I have a travel blog, because every city, like I said, that in the book, I've actually traveled to. And so on my website, it's just carolinemcbride.com. I am doing restaurant tips and dating tips in different cities that are covered in the book. So I can talk about my own experiences in this blog, because in the book, of course, it's a fictional protagonist. So she's having some different experiences than me.
But I mean, like a podcast. I think you could podcast really good, really.
Okay. I'll look into that.
I want to be your agent. I want to be your publicist.
Thank you, Fernando. Well, gosh, I mean, thank you for the compliments coming from you. That's huge.
It's not even a compliment. I think you should do it. Well, okay, so I'm gonna publish this and about your book, and I think it's really, I don't read that many books, but I want to read yours.
Thank you. Guys like it, because I'm surprised how many men like rom-coms. Rom-com is just a funny romance with a happy ending, like Wedding Crashers. I always use that example. People say, yeah, that's really male-centric. I'm like, yeah, it's a rom-com. It's great. We can all laugh about it.
You're right. One of my secret questions on the red carpet when I ask questions to celebrities is, what do you secretly binge watch? And guys always, rom-com movies are what guys don't want to tell. What do you watch? Oh, I watched Rambo yesterday. No, they didn't. They watched, like Crazy Rich Asians.
Exactly. I love that movie. That's a good one.
Great movie. I've seen it 3 times. It's awesome. Well,
then it's big of you to be able to admit it openly that you like rom-coms.
I just saw an 80s movie again called Mannequin. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah. Wait. With
Andrew McCarthy and Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall. Okay, but who's the brunette in it? Famous actress. Isn't it not Gina Davis?
No, maybe? It's Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall. Does she have brown hair in it?
She had blonde hair.
I remember Andrew McCarthy for sure. Okay, I remember that because he falls in love with her. Yeah, I want to go back.
That's a big rom-com.
You got me thinking Three's Company now. Like I need to do like a 70s, 80s.
Home so much, I've been watching all these rom-coms.
That's good. Keep your spirits up. That's the point.
Living over here, you got to keep them up.
That's great. By the way, I should have asked you your favorite restaurants around you.
I like South Nick's. That's good. And Javier's, I was just there actually yesterday. It opened up over here. There's the one in Newport, the first one, right? The first one?
I think so, yes. And there's one in Century City I'm going to lunch to in a few hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one. That one, it's a good one. That one.
Although I like the one by yours better because those ocean views inside. Oh my God.
In Las Vegas, I like Churco. I don't know if they're still open. In LA, I like Catch. It's pretty good. Have you eaten a Catch?
Yes. Yes.
And
That's big in New York too.
down here at the Ritz-Carlton, there's a restaurant called 360 View or something like that, with a big giant balcony with a huge view, like 180-degree view. I forget the name
I
of
did
it.
a Mother's Day lunch there about 3 years ago. So at the Ritz, I don't know if it was the same restaurant though, but I do remember the view there. It's so nice.
I eat everywhere though. I love Las Brisas, which is right here. Las Brisas. Have you eaten there? In
Yes,
Beach?
years ago.
Yeah.
You're
And
the best spot.
in New York, I ate at Budokan's. Am I saying that?
Yes, that's fun.
That one's really,
Yeah, Budokan.
it goes downstairs and it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful restaurant.
Gorgeous.
And
Yes,
Le
I
Cirque,
love it.
Le Cirque too in New York.
Yes, well, Sirio, the founder, died recently, sadly. So
Oh,
it's a very family-run business, and it's legendary in New York. Le Cirque.
totally, totally.
Mm.
Well, I could talk to you for like 2 hours.
All right, I'm like,
No, you're awesome. Well, you're in LA. You're in LA. We should have a lunch.
yeah, we should,
And
and especially, or when I'm back in Orange County,
yeah, and hand off a book.
How do I? Yes, I will do that. And I guess I'll find you. I'm following you on social media, so I'll get your info so we can stay in touch.
Sounds good. Awesome talking to you.
Thank you so much, Fernando.